Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. This is Connie. I had a request to show you how I go about doing my embossing and my paper pieces and how I choose my embossing folders, kind of the background behind that. And honestly, I don't have a true method or reason behind it. There are a couple tricks I'll share with you that I do. And so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I do not remember the name of the file I'm working with. This is a newer file from Cuddly Cute Designs. It's the Apple Gingers, maybe? I'm not sure. I apologize. I did this a little bit ago and then I got busy. I got detained with another project. So I'm going to go ahead and get going on this. But this tree is not part of the file. This is a tree that I got from another, maybe fall colors or colors of fall. Just not positive, I'm sorry. But on this, what I chose to do, there are a few pieces that I'm going to be embossing. One is the tree, and what I like to do, normally I do my trees. I pretty much always do anything with the wood grain effect, and I have this Sizzix, it's a Stampin' Up folder. It's a wood grain. I don't know if this will help, but at all to see the wood grain pattern in it. And I can't lift my camera up right now, I'm sorry. But it's got different texture. So I use that a lot. Just with this one, you have to be careful because it is so deeply etched that it tears the paper easily. So I try to be careful with that one. And I'll be also using that on the basket pieces. It gives a bit of a wicker type effect, so I do that a lot on my baskets also. You could use a basket weave, but the basket weave I have is even more, it's thicker, and it's off of Amazon, nothing wrong with it. It's just you have to be careful how you use some of them. And how I choose to emboss is if something's going to be to the front of a piece, I often like to emboss. I'm going to share with you a piece I'm working on. And this I did, and the wood part of the shelving, I did all the embossing there. And you can see it wants to, I don't know if you can see it, I can see it here. I used washi tape on the back of some of it, but it wants to split a little bit. I'm gonna have to put some on the back of that too. That's the nature of the embossing folder. And this is basil paper, so it's thicker paper. It does it on thin paper too. Now on my tree, all of the different leaves, I already embossed these because it would take forever. If it's one piece I'm embossing, I kind of go through my embossing folders and see what kind of would fit, what I like with it. If, like, for instance, leaves, and I did some Christmas trees a while back, I use all different kinds of folders on them. It just gives it a lot more design and texture. It's really nice. Now, if you have the older, this is a Cuttlebug folder, but it's the spider web design. This works really good. You have to kind of put your leaf in there, kitty wampus. This works really well on the maple leaves. And I want to say you put it down here in the corner, if I remember correctly. It works great though to do the embossing, the veins in the leaves. So that's really nice. I just kind of, like I said, I go through my embossing folders. I always ink my pieces first, and then I emboss. If I'm going to highlight anything with my pan pastels, my chalk, I do that before I try to emboss. Sometimes I do it after because I forget. And I'll be honest, sometimes I forget to emboss because I forget to get up and get the embossing folders because they're not right close by to me. So what I'm going to do is emboss my pieces. I am going to emboss this is like a metallic paper. I am not embossing, I'm sorry, the little center knot piece, just because it will be, to me, it's just too much texture. So I'm just going to do that and see if it works well. I'm not sure. I don't remember embossing paper like this, so we'll try it. And then I'll put these pieces together. Like, so I'm going to do this and my basket pieces in the wood grain. And I'll try to get these done first. I like to emboss just because I get a lot of texture that way. I am not going to worry about these top little two pieces just because leaves will go over them. And excuse me, I'm going to grab my big shot in a moment, so that's pretty much all you'll see. It's just really difficult to give you a true idea of how I emboss, you know. Like I said, go through what you have. Pieces that are to the front of it, and I'll show you here on my, I'm not sure this is going to be strong enough. I put one more layer on and then I've got too much. I'll show you with some of the pieces that are there and give you an idea of what I mean, if they're to the front or not. Okay, yeah, I'll show you in a little bit. It's probably easier to see, but I'm not going to do it anymore because, like I said, I don't want it to tear the paper. And now what I'm doing is putting my basket pieces in there. And I was trying to think. I think I had this figured out that the basket, yeah. I'm having all of the, oops, one of my pieces moved. I'm having all of the pieces go the same direction. So the front three pieces and the basket will all be laying in the same direction. So you can see I got two, and then I got two there. And one of them wants to keep moving. Good grief. Let's get this embossed. I apologize, I've been working on a large scrapbook or embellishment set here, and I finished up, I had 3 Halloween, I'm going to have to put this another layer down. I had 3 Halloween treat bags to finish, so I had to, well, not finish, I actually had to make everything. So I did those. And now I'm working on some Christmas cards for my neighbors that I'll be sharing with you. And I've got, well, once I get this set done, I'll have this and one other scrapbook layout to work on, so hard to put together. And then I'm going to be working on I'm not going to do a lot of 3D Christmas projects just because I don't have coworkers or anything anymore, you know, to share with. So, and I don't do too much for my neighbors. So, yeah, it's kind of the pits. Oh, come on. Okay, let's see where I'm at here. I'm on my last piece for embossing here. Sorry, I have been having some issues with my hands, so I'm trying to get things to work for me properly. Let's see. Oh, come on. I think it's going to work okay with the gold or the red foil. Get that thing out of the way. I don't ink the edges of the foil just because it's really not going to take ink anyway, but it did work pretty good. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. So, for example, what I mean here, if anything, I would have embossed the frosting. But for example, I wouldn't have done her dress just because it's behind and you're really not going to see it. If I wouldn't emboss the pie piece just because a pie is normally, the crust is, well, depending upon who baked it, it's flat, you know? I kind of look at that too when I'm deciding how would I go about, would I emboss a piece or would I not? Like for example, a basket, it's got a lot of texture with whether it's wicker or more of a wooden, am I trying to think? Oh, all of a sudden I lost my train of thought. Whether it, yeah, wooden or wicker, not really wooden. I can't think of what I'm trying to think of for the type of basket. But if something has texture, leaves have texture. They either have the veins in them or, you know, they're wrinkled and stuff. That's why I embossed like my leaves. Trees, the bark is textured. I don't do well drawing it in. It just works for me better to do with an embossing folder. A rolling pin, most of them are smooth. You know, the handles maybe not so much, but I still don't want that much texture on the handles, so I would leave it plain. Example, the apples. Apples are plain, they're shiny, they're smooth. I wouldn't emboss it. If something in real life has a bit of texture, I definitely will emboss things. Trying to look for something else that I have done recently. Well, here, I'll give you an example of one you could do. I have these bears. So if I wanted, I could emboss the top piece, whatever's the very top piece of these, or could have done the leaves. I didn't do these pieces of the pumpkin just because they're layered on top, so it would be harder to layer them without putting foam dots. And I didn't really want to do that. Now, I lost my train of thought. Gosh, it's gone some days. It's terrible. Nothing on the bear I would do for sure, just because I don't have anything that resembles fur, for one thing, but it's mostly behind. You're not seeing a lot of it, so I wouldn't do that. I just don't have a lot of paper pieces out here right now to share. I'm just kind of looking. No, and what I'm going to do as I do more paper piecing videos with you, when I am embossing, I will show you basically, or I'll tell you my reason behind it or what I'm doing with it. It's really a matter of preference if you want to emboss or not. Again, I look at things in real life and say, okay, are they embossed in real life? I mean, are they textured in real life, or are they pretty plain? So, and I go from there. Because like most pumpkins are very, just use that because it's fall and Halloween and stuff. Most pumpkins are, well, at least the ones I've seen are not very smooth, so. I know this is probably hard to see, this dark blue on here. I'm going to see where I'm at here. So, see if I can hold this up a moment. It's very, I don't know if you can see that, it's very realistic in real life how textured it is. It's amazing. I didn't do the paper piecing for the other pieces just because it would have taken way too long. This one goes in the middle, I think. Oh, she's got the notches there. Cool. There's little notches in the basket here. I didn't see that at first. Excuse me. I saw a really cute layout on, I think, Pinterest for it was an apple harvest or something, and the pieces have nothing. The pieces that they had on there, or the embellishments, were nothing like this. But I thought, oh, that would be perfect when I saw these pieces come out. So I will be hopefully working on that soon. Last week, I don't know, it was a busy week with appointments. So okay, I'm gonna cut these down just a little bit, especially that middle one. Well, I hope everybody is doing well. I've been doing okay, managing, I guess, the best I can. Still a lot of stuff going on and dealing with that. So now I think if you, once the tan pieces are on, you might be able to get a better idea. And again, it's harder to see probably the dark blue. You can see a little bit here, but it really added a lot to the piece, I think. I'll get some glue on this. I'm actually going to use a glue dot just because it'll give it a little bit of dimension, and I still use glue. My glue dots are old and they're not always sticking. Anyway, with the embossing on there, I don't want it to, you know, really kind of sink in anywhere. So that, again, it just gives it a little bit of texture. What I look at is some ribbons have, you know, texture to them. So we'll go ahead and put that on her. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. It's just, you know, and when I was asked that, well, I will do my best to try to explain, but it's kind of difficult because, like I said, it's just not something that I do all the time. I've started doing it more, and I just kind of go by guessing by golly, so to speak. So let's see. I know this one goes over here to make sure that I don't put it out over the side of the basket. And then these two, this one goes up a little bit further. Okay, then we've got this ginger to put on in front. And I did use, if you can tell that, I used glittered red paper on the nose. I'm not sure I'm 100% happy with it, but I'm not gonna fix it or change it now. And then I did use white glitter paper for the icing on the gingerbreads. So I'm not exactly sure where these hands are supposed to go, but This is where I'm putting them, because I'm not looking at the actual design. So, and then I used the metallic paper for the apples, and I'm not sure I would do it that way again, but I'm gonna leave it. This apple I put about 3 layers of glossy accents on, so it's quite dimensional, and then I put foam tape in between just to give it a little bit of different texture. And let's see I'm not sure where all these leaves go, so I'm just gonna start putting them on and try to maybe, what do I want to say, rotate my textures some. Sorry, I'm just froze today. I don't know why. It's not that terribly cold, but I just can't get warmed up. Yeah. Been that way all day. Let's see. Not used this one yet. We'll put that one on these two. Got 4 left. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's see what we can do here. And I'm not putting any little baby apples in here on my layout. I just think we'll be good the way they are. Just trying to figure out where I want to put all my leaves here. And yeah, we'll put one down here. Okay, so I've got all my pieces put together, and like I said, I'll be doing some more paper piecing videos, and I will share more. The best thing I can say is, if you are in doubt, if you want to send me a message and get my opinion that way, or ask more questions. But yeah, if I look now, like the tree is again to the back, but the leaves, like I said, they're textured in real life. That's why I did those. I like to, if I don't use pattern paper, try to do something on bows. Like pieces, like I said, that are in real life, if they're flat or they're smooth, I don't emboss them. The leaves I didn't do here because they're, again, to the back. The basket woods, I liked to do those. I had thought about on the hat, on this gnome, doing that, but it's going on a card and it's small, and I don't want it to take away from the background paper that I'm using. That's another thing that I'll look at, is what I'm using for background paper. And the background paper for this is a little bit, it's more pastel, but it's also kind of busy, so I don't want to take away from that. I've got this little, I gotta be careful, she's kind of wet yet, little angel I did. I could have done like the dots on the wings, but because she's small, I just don't want to do too much with her. So just little things that I kind of look at, you know, if the sizing, the paper I'm using with it, yeah, her coat and the burgundy colors of her coat and hat, you know, would have been done with a small size embossing folder. That would have been pretty. That's another thing that you might want to consider, is if you have a larger piece, maybe take a larger patterned embossing folder. If you have a small piece, maybe you want to use a smaller embossing folder, or like on the leaves. What I did there was, I'll try to show you this with these two. Let's go back to the green. I think it would be easier to see. What I do is I'm just going to get a little piece of green here. Just one moment. Okay, so let's cut this down a little bit. Probably too small, but I will open it up, and I find the part that's got a pattern to it, and that's where I would put my embossed, or my leaf in this area here. So if you can see that it's got more of a pattern here, I put the leaf right in there, or the piece I'm embossing. I did that on the paisley too. I try to get the leaf or whatever I'm embossing more in the area where there's a pattern that's off a little bit, but it works really well then. So that's another trick to do it. But again, I want to thank you for joining me. Any questions, please do leave a comment and I will get back to you. Have an awesome day.